Hello, welcome to TD's Pokemon Lair. I'm TD and this is the Lair. Today, we're unboxing a box of 10 Pokemon cards that's in PSA. A little over a year ago, got them back in this box, professionally packaged. Let me get them out of here and see what grades I get. Okay, let's go. Check out this 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Full Heal Trainer, the 111th card of the set. The front of this card is free of any creases, bends, scratches, or any other problems on the surface. Our centering from left to right, I think, is a little towards the left. Our centering from top to bottom, I think, is within the tolerances. And looking at our corners and our edges, I did not see any damage on them at all. On the back of the card, I did not find any scratches, creases, bends, or other problems on the surface. Our centering from left to right and top to bottom, I think it's all within the tolerances. Looking at the corners and the edges, the only thing I can find is there's a small bit of damage on that upper left corner. This trainer is going to get a grade of Mint 9. That's pretty good. I like it a lot. Let's look at this 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Maintenance, a trainer card, the 112th card of the set. This card is very clean. I did not see any scratches, creases, or bends on the surface. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think, is all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges on the front of this card, I do not see any damage. As we take a look at the back of the card, our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think, is all within the tolerances. Looking at our surface, I did not see any problems like creases, bends, scratches, or any other problems. Looking at our corners and our edges, I think the upper left corner and the lower right corner both have some small specks of damage. And this trainer is going to get a good grade of Mint 9. A 9 is a pretty good grade. Here is a 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Pluspower, a trainer card, the 113th of the set. Let's take a look at the surface. I don't see any creases, bends, or scratches. Looking at our centering from left to right, it's a little towards the left. That might be getting close to the tolerance. Looking at our top to bottom centering, I think that's within the tolerance. Looking at the corners and edges on the front of this card, I do not see any damage. Let's flip this card over and we'll take a look at the back. And our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think is all within the tolerances. Looking at our center surface, I think it's free of any damage like creases, bends, or scratches. Looking at our corners and our edges, the only thing I can see is there's a very tiny speck on that upper left corner. And we'll receive a grade of Mint 9. I like those 9s, but 10s are better. We're looking at a 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Pokemon Center Trainer card, the 114th card of the set. Looking at the front of this card, our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think is all within the tolerances. Looking at our surface, I did not see any damage like creases, bends, or scratches. Looking at the corners and the edges, they are very crisp and clean and show no damage. The back of the card looks really good. Also, the surface shows no creases, bends, scratches, or any other problems. Our centering from left to right and top to bottom, I think, is with the tolerance for the back of the card. Looking at our corners and our edges, the upper right corner has some slight damage, and there's a very slight edge bend on the center of the top edge. And the lower right corner also has some damage. And the grade we'll get is a near Mint 8. I think that card actually deserves that 8. Let me show you this 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Pokedex, a trainer card, the 115th card of the set. Looking at the front of this card, the graphics are bright. The surface is free of any creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from top to bottom, I think it's slightly towards the bottom, but I think it's within the spec. Our centering from side to side, I do believe it's in the spec. Looking at our corners and our edges, I do not see any damage that would affect a grade. The back of the card is free of any creases, bends, or scratches, or any other problems on the surface of the card. Our centering from top to bottom, I think, is within the tolerance, and left to right, I also think is within the tolerance. Looking at our corners and edges, I think those are actually pretty darn clean. And we'll get a grade of Gem Mint 10. Wow, that's pretty darn good for that Pokedex. I like it. You're looking at a 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Professor Oak, a trainer card, the 116th of the set. The centering on the front of this card, left to right, is a little towards the left. I think that might take us out of the 10 spec. Our top to bottom centering looks pretty close or within the 10 spec. Looking at our surface, I do not see any scratches, creases, or bends. Looking at our corners and our edges, I think they're very clean and free of any damage. The back of the card's surface is very clean, no scratches, creases, or bends. Our centering from left to right and top to bottom, I think it's all within the back tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, the only thing I see is a speck of damage on that lower left corner. And Professor Oak's going to get a grade of Mint 9. I like it. I like it a lot. This card is a 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Super Potion, a trainer card, the 117th card of this set. The front graphics of this card look bright. The surface shows no damage like creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think, is all within the tolerances for the front of the card. Looking at our corners and our edges, they're crisp and clean and show no damage. The back of the card is just as clean as the front, no creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think, is all within the tolerances. Looking at the corners and our edges, I think I see a little bit of damage down on that lower left corner, maybe some dirt or some damage on the corner, and there's a white speck that looks like dust on that lower blue left border. And that's going to get us a grade of Mint 9. I'll take it. I have no choice. Let's check out this 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Bill, a trainer card, the 118th card of this set. Looking at the front of this card, doesn't Bill look cute? Ha ha ha. The surface of this card is very clean. There's no creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from top to bottom, I think, is slightly towards the bottom, but I think that's within the tolerance. Looking at our side to side, though, I know it's within the tolerance. Looking at our corners and our edges, they are free and clear of any damage. The back of the card looks very clean. No creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think, is all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, I do not see any damage on them at all. I think we're going to get a good grade, and that is Gem Mint 10, and I believe Bill deserves that grade. We are looking at a 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Energy Removal, a trainer card, 119th of this set. Looking at the front of the card, I did not see any problems on the graphics, no creases, bends, or scratches on the surface. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think, is all within the tolerances. Looking at the corners and the edges, I do not see any damage or any other problems on those corners and edges. As we flip this card, the back looks great. There's no creases, bends, or scratches. Our centering from top to bottom and left to right, I think, is all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and our edges, the only thing I can see is the upper left corner has a slight bend right on the corner. And we'll get a grade of Mint 9. 9s are pretty good. I'm showing you this 2000 Pokemon Game Base 2 Gusta Win, a trainer card, the 120th card of the set. Looking at the front of this card, it's very nice. There's no scratches, creases, or bends on the surface. Our centering from left to right and top to bottom, I think, is all within the tolerances. Looking at our corners and edges, the only thing I can see is on that upper right corner, there is a slight bend right on the edge. Let's flip this card over and look at the back, and we'll start with our surface and edges and corners, because there's on the main surface of the card there's no scratches, creases, or bends, but we do have a corresponding bend on the left upper corner corresponding to the upper right corner on the front, but our centering on this one is a little towards the right, and top to bottom looks within the spec. So I think we have a centering issue and that little bend. And we'll get a grade of near Mint 8. That's better than I thought. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and the cards I presented. Please like and subscribe. And always remember, you got to catch them all. Have a great day.